Welcome to the Limitless Potential podcast, where together we will dive into the personal, business, and career-rich tips, techniques, stories, and experiences of some incredibly successful and inspirational people, each with their own perspectives and journeys, and each with golden nuggets of wisdom which might just change your life. I'm Tracy Stone, and I'm a master trainer in a number of career supercharging techniques, a transformational coach, international best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and a woman discovering and evolving my very own limitless potential day by day.
I went to yoga and more playing.
Hi, and welcome back for another episode of the Limitless Potential podcast. I'm really delighted to welcome today Francis Piché, who joins us from California in the USA. Francis is a mindset alchemist, founder and CEO of Resilience Element, international keynote speaker, Amazon international best-selling author, and certified Proctor Gallagher Institute consultant of the Thinking into Results program. He helps leaders just like you master your mind so you can master your life. He loves to explore into everything in your mind that is limiting you. Like an alchemist, he helps transmute your paradigms and limiting beliefs into powerful ways of being that are authentic to the purest source of who you really are. He takes the less useful lead in you and transmutes it back to gold so you can thrive in life and business. And he's here with us today to talk about his journey and how he taps into his own limitless potential. Welcome, Francis, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, it's really great to have you here. And I know that people are going to have so much to benefit. You have had an incredible journey through life and you're working on amazing things and making inspirational shifts in people's lives that they never thought were possible. So I want us to be able to share a lot of that and help people to recognize that they also can get into their own version of their limitless life. So in order to share that journey, I'd love us to go back to the beginning, Francis. So if you would, can you take us back to childhood and give us a bit of story, a bit of background, a bit of spice of what it was to be Francis growing up as a little boy and how that formed your journey through life?
Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you, Tracy, for the beautiful introduction. When I think about my childhood, I think I was very, very lucky to have one parents that have been together, and now they celebrated this year 48 years together. And I've had a very stable childhood. When I think about it, my parents were very workers, people that were working hard for what they do. My mom was a nurse for 41 years. She was a lifer and the same thing with my dad. He started, I think, at 18 years old at a company called Bell Canada, and he was working hard all of his life. Both of my parents showed me how to work hard, which could be good or bad, because you start to form a belief that you got to work hard for to get what you have. So when I look at my childhood, I'm French Canadian, was born in Montreal, and my parents, when I look at them, they didn't really have an easy start. My mom lost her mom when she was 2. She lost her dad when she was 16. My dad lost his dad when he was 11. So if I compare my childhood compared to their childhood, it's been very easy. What I didn't realize, though, years after, and I've never really explained it this way, is that I formed a belief, I think, that life is fragmented, if it makes sense. Because I was lucky, I was lucky to be healthy, to have good parents, in a beautiful environment. And if I look at my mom and dad, they never had everything. And if I look at my grandma, she was, she's a great mentor in my life, and she passed away 9 years ago, and she got married 3 times in her life. And the last time was when she was 70 years old. So it's quite of an inspiration. And unfortunately, she was a widow 3 times. What I saw in that is that she, for most of my life, I always saw her as kind of being alone. And then she, of course, when she was 70, I was there at her wedding, which was great. And so in my mind, noticed not too long ago that I have always seen life as fragmented or something that would be miscarried in some shape or form. So, but it's interesting that you can be in a very beautiful environment, and then it could also be very positive or detrimental in terms of how it forms your belief. Everything is forming your belief when you're young. And so, but I think that for me, the biggest challenges started to happen later. And the one that really, I think, shaped my life was when I thought that I had everything. And, I was about 24 years old, starting to, I always wanted to travel around. I always wanted to work for big companies and do it for the money. And here's the interesting part, Tracy, is that when I was 16, my godfather, who also is a big mentor in my life, gave me a birthday card, and he said, Francis, you're 16 years old. That's great. It's amazing. You're starting to shape your life. Here's my best advice. Do what makes your heart come alive. Otherwise, you'll be poor all your life. Don't do a job for the paycheck. Do what makes your heart come alive. And I'm 16 and I'm hearing this and all right, thank you, Godfather. I love you. And then years later, when I'm at the verge of starting a new career, I choose what makes the more money, not what makes my heart come alive. So I started my first journey in this international business. And the reality is I also had a choice. I had a choice to go for something that was doing international business, smaller company, and working in Europe, and, being from Montreal, that was my dream, like travel around the world, or then working for the American company and having this big salary and work and being on the path to be an executive in the future. But it was working in the semiconductor and passive components industry. So I didn't like the industry at all, but it was selling. So I thought, I've always loved to sell. I'm going to do that. So fast forward 4 years after, the reason why I stayed that long is because they promised me a big bonus. They say, hey, if you stay for 3 years, we'll give you a bonus. And at the time, it was $15,000 US. And with the exchange rate, it was about $20,000 Canadian, which was also almost a third of 1 year. So I thought, I have to stay. But I really hated my job in some ways. And what happened with my fire is that it started to diminish, so day by day, like my excitement and everything started to diminish, which I know had an impact on everything else in my life. And so finally, after 4 years, I'm making the decision to leave jail. And I remember the day when I left, like my coworkers were almost like, I felt that I was leaving jail, and they're like, you're so lucky, you're leaving. And I decided to work for a company that was called Xerox. And to me, it was the ultimate. You're working for the company that knows how to train the best salespeople in the world, and you have transaction. You can do the big deals, get the signature instead of doing representation with the orders that are being repeated as in the previous job. And what was exciting also is that I was just 3 months away from the wedding. So now I'm thinking, I'm starting a new job. I'm going into what I really love now. I'm about to be married, and finally, my fiance is gonna be over with university. She took an extra year. That was so long for me. Why is she taking an extra year to finish university? Because I wanted to have my house, wanted to have everything that the society is saying. You gotta have your house, you have this, I have that. So finally, I'm feeling this is good. This is good. New chapter comes in. And maybe 3 days after I started the job, my fiance was waiting for me in the living room. She said, can I speak to you? I'm like, sure. What's up? She's like, I want to cancel the wedding. I'm like, what?
Oh,
What? So and in my mind, like I'm a salesperson, so I'm thinking, well, hold on, let me rephrase that. So you're telling me you want to cancel the wedding? So when's the new date? It's like, so no, there's no new date. It's the relationship is also over. What? And of course, there was some sign, and there was things that didn't work out. But I didn't really expect that she would have the guts to do that and go through this news and so now all of a sudden, my whole world, the perfect world that I created in my mind, is gone.
wow.
Gone. And I'm
How did you
starting.
handle that? I mean, you think everything is going so perfectly, tick,
Yeah.
tick, 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 tick on the list,
Hmm.
and then suddenly the rug is pulled out, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's why I said, and there's things that, of course, I was rejected when I was young and in different capacities. I was part of the popular kids, and then changed schools, changed city, and all of a sudden, like, you've been rejected by the people that are including you in the gang. So there's that little loss of that I had in my life, but nothing major as that. So sometimes I'm wondering, was that better for me to have a maybe a tougher childhood and then and have a better it's what's best, like having it at the end or in the middle or in the beginning? I don't know, but I think we all have chosen a path. And that, so to answer your question, it was very, very difficult because I'm in a new job, and you're learning about a company, you're learning about the products, and you're on probation. So if you don't do a good job, they kick you out. And to add the stress on top of it is the day before that, I believe, I lost the computer that they gave me because I had a dinner with my ex-colleague, and the computer was in my car, new car, everything was new, everything was great. And then the day after, I opened my trunk and the bag was gone. Like, what happened? And I saw no signs of vandalism or anything, so it was really weird. So you're on your second day, third day, you go and you say, the computer you gave me, was stolen. And they're like, wow, that great employee, Francis, three days in and you're losing the computer, so how do you feel? I was stressed a little bit about that, so I thought I had to prove myself. And now this news comes in, and all you're thinking is that it's gone. You just, your whole world. And I think she slept that night, but then she was even gone at the apartment, saying we've been together for 3 years. So now everything's changing, and you're looking at the specs of a product that you really don't care. You're like, I don't really care about that right now, but I have to learn. I remember being so thirsty, I think my energy was drained, and I'm not a big guy, so you can imagine. I lost weight, not a lot of weight you can lose in this body. So I was just constantly dwelling this information, the scenario, what's happening, and I also try to gain her back,
Mm.
which was really draining because you start your week, you're concerned about your performance, you're concerned about where's your life going, you have no idea. This is on script right now, so now I'm trying to gain her back. And every day I'm starting to be better. She's not with me, but I'm seeing her every weekend.
Mm.
So the Monday is tough, because now I'm gone. I haven't, like, I'm leaving her from the weekend, and now all of a sudden, like, the Monday, and then Tuesday starts to be a little bit better, Wednesday better, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm seeing her. And then there's this roller coaster of emotion, 3 months, because you take your pill, and then you have a withdrawal. You take your pill, you have a withdrawal. And it's 3 months like that, and it's tough and difficult, and even to a point where we had a honeymoon, and I needed to have a break. I needed to have some sort of a vacation, and we couldn't cancel this destination or the trip. So I said, I'm definitely going. And I didn't expect that she would go. She's like, I'm going too. So now we're in this resort for 2 weeks. Everyone's thinking that we're married. We're not. Congratulations for your wedding. No, we're not. And then you repeat that on and on and on. And then we had an intimate moment once, and she started to cry after. And at that moment, I thought, that's it. Like, I'm done. Like, I was pleasing. I was trying everything to keep her around, but I realized that it's detrimental to me right now. I mean, I wouldn't want to have anyone to cry after this and not want me for who I am. So it was the moment that I decided, okay, so this is my time to turn the page. And what really helped me at that, and this is not a coincidence that I called myself a mindset alchemist, is that the first book that I read was The Alchemist. And it really truly helped me, because I really resonated with that part of the book when Santiago gets the gold, or gets the money to go chase or go for his legend, go see the pyramid, and he's crossing the continent to go to Africa. And then the first or second day that he's in, all his money is gone. It was stolen. So all of his world is gone. And I felt so connected to that part because that's how I felt. I felt I lost everything. You know, you're thinking you have the best and now you have nothing. So you're thinking, am I good enough? Like you question yourself on that. You start to feel guilty. You're sad. You're scared. All of these feelings, and that I think that was really a moment for me that shaped who I am, or really changed everything. And it was only at 24 years
Wow,
old.
a lot at 24. And in moments like that, you lose things or aspects about you that you didn't even know you could lose.
Yeah, and you lose your confidence in some ways too, right? And then you have this additional pressure, especially when you start a new job. So you know, because in sales, I felt, Tracy, if I could have been in construction instead, I think I would have loved it. Just like hammering the nail, doing something physical. Not think is not when you're reading and you're in your own cubicle for 8 hours a day. You're just using your brain the whole day. And I was reading, but I was really thinking about what was happening. And, you know, so many moments I had to go to I remember going to the restrooms maybe 4 times an hour just because I needed to get out. Like it was so draining. And I just needed to take some water, come back, and do that for 3 months. And so, and I think one of the elements that really helped me was seeing my mentor at the time, Bob Smith, who he's got a very normal name, but a very extraordinary person. And he was kind of a grandpa to me. So when I went to the boot camp, which is this 2 weeks of selling course, he represented to me this grandpa with a morning radio voice, you know, and giving us so many beautiful insights. And Maggie, the main instructor at the time, would always say, Bob, you know, please come on back. Like she was gonna give him a hard time and say, Bob, come back to the class, please. And he's like, it's all right. And he said on one day that the best advice that he would give us for sale was, you know, 5 or 6 different things. And the most important one was having fun. So I'm like, I love Bob. He's amazing. And I wanted to thank him because it was for me, like I love sales. And that 2 weeks, I kind of forgot everything about the situation because I was in the element that I love. And so at the end, I wanted to say thank you to him, you know. So I just went to see and I said, hey, Bob, I really want to thank you for this week. Like, it's been amazing. You're an incredible guy. And then as almost like a divine intervention, like he really looked at me straight in the eye and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, Francis, I've seen you this week. I'm like, whoa, what have you seen? He's like, you can do anything you want in your life. It's just up to you. So now I'm like, ugh. So he doesn't know what's happening in my own personal life. And he gave me permission to say, you can be unlimited. It's just up to you. So that kind of gave me confidence again in my own skills because he saw me and he knew that I could do anything. And I don't know still why he said that, but it was just for me a beautiful door entry to what I wanted to accomplish. And so from that, and after the honeymoon trip, I decided to put all my attention to sell. And thankfully, I remember talking to the marketing manager at the time, who became my best friend. I told her I had to, and maybe that's one of the advice, is that when we go through things, like not keeping everything for ourselves. And I just went to see her and I said, look, you need to understand something right now. Here's the situation. 2 weeks ago or a month ago, I was supposed to be on that journey of getting married. It's off right now. So what you're seeing right now is not Francis at his 100%. You're seeing him at 60 to 70%. I'm way better than that. I just want you to know what I'm going through. And she understood. And the synchronicity is that she was going through something similar in our own personal life. So we became really connected.
Isn't it just amazing that when we take that opportunity to share honestly with people when we're going through a hard time, they understand. And not only do they understand, but very often they are or have done or will go through something like that as well. So it's important to be able to share it and be honest instead of carrying the burden on your own.
Yeah, and that's where I see vulnerability as power, because I'm assuming, I'm only going to assume. One thing I know for sure is that it's always great until it's great. And when things are bad, then that's, I think, where you see the true character.
Mm.
So I would think that when she saw me as an example doing some product demonstration and having a smile on my face and doing a good job, she knew what I was going on, and that, it's I'm doing all of my best to show up at my as my best possible. And I'm sure that she saw the character that I had, knowing what I'm going through, and that's where the power is. And we got connected, and the year after, I became the rookie of the year. And I had a really good, powerful, chapter of my life after the fact. And of course, I overcompensated with work, and so you have other things that you're learning. But now fast forward of things that happen is that it was the first moment I really did what I love. And then I decided at one point, I really truly want to go international, to travel the world and discover new cultures. So when I did my president's club, which is what happened when you do really good in sales, I went to Ireland, and I thought, oh, I think I love Ireland. For some reason, I didn't want to go to UK. I had the chance to do an exchange student program in Sweden when I wanted to do a UK, but then it shipped me in Sweden, which was the best thing ever. But so now I decided, what, I'm ready for the next chapter. And so I decided I want to work in Ireland for Xerox. And at the time, even if you work for the same company, but it's a different country, you had to resign from where you're at and go to a different country. So, and there was some visa involved, driving on the other side of the road, like all of these things. So the same friend that I mentioned at the time was in Vancouver, and she said, hey, you know what? I mean, there's a position available in Vancouver. Maybe you want to check that out. And I did. And so that brought me to Vancouver. So it was my working abroad experience. And it's still different because, French Canadian, now you work in British Columbia, and that's day by day working in an English environment, very different culture. You see a lot of Asian people in Vancouver. It's really different. And so that was my experience to now decide to sell my condo that I just purchased 9 months ago and go for my journey to go to Vancouver. So it was my first kind of leap of faith and say, you know what, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to create. So I'm not going to wait until I have an opportunity that say, oh, yeah, would you like to work for us and travel around the world? I'm going to create this opportunity. And I did. And then, if I fast forward and explain something very fast, is that in some shape or forms, I always followed the money. I always followed something that would be more lucrative. And then I realized that it wasn't what made my heart come alive. I actually discovered the card again 20 years after. And I realized that I didn't follow the advice and the clue that I was given at 16. It's like, here's the solution. Follow that, you'll be happy. All right. 20 years after, you realize, oh, I didn't do that. And then it takes a lot of courage again. And I decided to sell the condo I had in Vancouver 10 years ago to really fully give myself permission to explore what I really wanted. And fear creeped in pretty fast. And so only 2 months after, when I saw that my bank account was just going down, that I had no revenue coming in, then I met this person who became my girlfriend at the time, and she was in real estate. And I thought, oh, there's no ceiling to that. I can definitely do that. It's in selling. Da, da, da. So I decided to do in that route, which was not exactly what made my heart come alive. Again, it was another trap. But along the way, though, I started to do on the side, like all of these trainings on communication. I started to have a coach, and I still have the same coach for the last 7 years. And now that's what I do. I help people to remove their limiting beliefs, because I've had many limiting beliefs and fear, and I went through challenges, and making a decision to sell your condo, and even with what happened with COVID and my project on the documentary on resilience and all of it, like it put me in a financial situation that is not easy at all. Owing money, and now how do you identify yourself when you don't feel good enough again, and you go through all of these difficulties, these challenges, and questioning your worth, questioning and being upset and frustrated about the decisions you made. So now there's a journey of forgiveness, there's a journey of self-love, there's a journey of recovering your confidence, and let external circumstances define you. And external circumstances, or even something of what you have. People could lose their job, and then all of a sudden the whole world has changed. Who are you? I was listening to a podcast yesterday. The person said, I had a bankruptcy, and I think she was working in a certain industry, and all of a sudden it's gone. And we just mentioned that even before the interview. People know you for who you are in a past job, and now who are you?
Mm-hmm.
You're still unlimited, but then you define yourself based on that, which is not who you are. So all of that, I think, makes me an amazing coach. I think the best mindset alchemist coach there is, because I've been through a lot. Financial loss, relationships, being demoted once in my life, or losing my job. And now I can see that as a gift. I can totally see that as a gift. And we don't see that as a gift initially. Now, at least if something bad happened, and especially when it's unexpected, I'm not going to say I love it per se, but I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to say that I know that there's a breakthrough that's going to come. I don't know what that is. I'm going to explore it. And I've also discovered, Tracy, that when we resist things, it's just prolonging the suffering. And there's a day at one point in our life, like I made the same choice with when my fiance at the time decided to leave me. There's a day that I thought, you know what, I'm done. I'm done suffering. I'm done. I'm just going to focus on me. I'm going to believe in myself now. And that moment could take years, can take 3 months, can take 2 seconds. But there's a moment that we know that we're going to make that switch. And it's always up to us to choose.
I love that. And I think it's such an important point for people to recognize. We all go through those swings in life, that kind of roller coaster. You go down, you go up. But when we're trying to change ourselves to meet somebody else's requirements, like I'm sure you kind of touched on that a bit, that you're trying to still make it work. You're trying to make it work with your girlfriend, your fiance. When we try and be something else in order to meet somebody else's tick list, it takes us so far away from ourselves, and it's not authentic to ourselves, and it's not sustainable.
Absolutely.
And it's exhausting.
Absolutely.
So what advice do you have, having been through some of those kinds of journeys where you're trying so hard and that dip comes into life, and the self-doubt, as you explained so nicely, all of those things come and challenge us and make us think, well, I can't do this. I can't make the relationship work, or it's thrown my life asunder, or the job, or the opportunities. How do you advise people who are feeling that fear that they don't know how to get into what they want?
Yeah, well, there's an advice. It's going to be it's 2-word, and could take time, lots of time to get it. And I'm going to explain why. The 2 words are be you. Just be you. Actually, I have a story that comes to mind now. Maybe that's the gift of Neil. Neil was a friend of mine, a good friend of mine that played hockey with me for years, and he had cancer. And he battled for 2 years. Interestingly enough, is that I did a plant ceremony in Peru, and I had a message at the time that he would choose to leave. And I remember when I heard the news, I thought, oh, no, please continue and believe in healing and all that. And that was 2 years before he passed away, actually. And he did choose to leave because it was a battle that was really difficult. And I don't know anyone that was such a warrior like him, but he decided to unplug at the time that he wanted. And he unplugged actually on my birthday last year. And 2 weeks before that, I had a conversation with him, and I knew it was a loss. So imagine, pick up anyone you love, and you just know that you're on the phone, and that's the last time. It's quite something. And so I remember I said, what do you have to share, Neil? Like, what is it that you'd like to give as if it was your gift to humanity or to your community or to your friends? What is it that you would say? You said, you know what? Be authentic. Be who you are. You said, never let anyone or anything let you sway you from who you really are. And I get it. I get it even more now. And that's interesting. That's what he picked, because I think that, first of all, like I'm gonna quote Steve Artisan, the ultimate coach. He said, "Be you. Everyone else is taken," and that's true. So
Yeah.
why don't try to be somebody else? It's already taken. There's only one of you, so might as well play that role the best you can. And to answer the question why I say be you is because ultimately it's going to revert back to that. So you can choose to pretend or please, but you're just going to have so much resentment at one point that you will want to go back to who you are. And so if you meet someone and you're pleasing, and it could work in the beginning, but at one point you're just gonna, like I said, have so much resentment. You're gonna want to be you. So start to be you first, because that's what they think. They chose you for that reason. So if you, and I've done that mistake many times, they would see me as very confident, and they'd say, "Oh wow, like this guy's amazing," and so they decided to have a relationship with me. But then my insecurities kicked in, and then all of a sudden I'm not this confident guy anymore. And now it's a reverse magnet. I'm not attractive the same way. And then the relationship ends. And it's because now I started to please and to do things because I was afraid that maybe I would lose that person. So I'm starting to do all of these moves, which is not how they first met me. When they first met me, I was truly who I was. I was happy to be single and all of that. So just always be you, because that's what people see. And even in what I do, or there's so much benefits to be yourself, because I believe that people know when you're pretending. And to me, I have no problem to say that I've had plant medicine ceremony in Peru, or that I've done mushroom in my life and all of it. Why? Because I know that the people that will want to work with me will embrace that. And I don't want to pretend. I'm done. I'm done doing that, because the beauty is that now when I give of myself, I give 100% of who I am. And that's what the people are going to get. They're getting 100% of me, instead of maybe having a feeling, I don't know, there's something, it's quite, I'm not sure. Like there's something about that person that I don't quite get and I don't really fully trust. So now, so you're losing by not being yourself
I
for so
love
many
that
different
so
ways.
much. That is just so perfect to be able to share with people about being you. And when you're not trying to be somebody else, you're gravitating to the people that need to gravitate to you. So it's effortless. It's not the hard work it is when you're trying to be something else. And you're never going to be able to sustain that anyway. So just be
Exactly. You
you,
said it
because everyone
so
else is
perfectly.
taken. I love
And
it.
there's no inner conflict. Now you have enthusiasm because you're just you. And
Mm.
people love when you're you, because like I said, nobody else is taken. And then they feel your enthusiasm about life. They feel your freedom to be self-expressed. They feel your own power. Because when you're trying to pretend or please, you're repressing yourself. You're just not fully expressed. And so
Mm.
now this joy is not the same. I remember actually when I had a relationship where I was pleasing so much, and it lasted maybe a year and a half or two. And then there's a friend that I saw a year after, and when it was just the relationship was over, and he looked at me, said, "Francis is back," because he saw my smile. And I wasn't smiling for a year. I was more into complaining and doing all of these things. So the flame again was diminishing, which has an impact on everything, on your health, on even at work, on your relationship. So when he saw me, he said, "You're back." And then I'm thinking of, I had another story. It escaped me, but there's so many benefits of being who you are.
Yeah.
You're free. You're free.
That's beautiful. That is really important. And on that same note of just being you, not trying to live up to something else that is not you, and allowing yourself, giving yourself full permission to be you. Because again, as we're saying, everyone else is taken, but you don't have anybody else that you need to please. You're attracting the right people. They're attracting you. You're attracting them. It's effortless, it's easy, it's natural, and it's the right way for you. And you can live up to that, because that's when we're doing it the other way, when we're trying to please, that exhaustion that we feel is what brings us so often to breaking point. And then we wonder, why are we sabotaging the relationship? Why are we arguing? Why are we fighting? Why is this hard work? Well, it's hard work because you're trying to make something work that doesn't work. And the ultimate learning sometimes is it's okay to not be the right person for everybody. You can't please everybody, and it's okay to let people go in order to be you.
Yeah, and essentially when we're pleasing, we're not serving ourselves, we're not serving the person either, because that's not what they prescribed, that's not what they bought, that's not what they chose. And it essentially implying that you're not whole and complete.
Yeah.
Because you're deciding, you're choosing to be somebody else, thinking that you're not good enough. And so you play that game, and it's a game you can never play. And I'm thinking about, a corporate with the politics and everything. I believe that it would be so good to be absolutely authentic and compassionate at work, and let our gifts be thriving, and not be afraid of the consequences of being you. So I'll give you an example. I have a good friend of mine that decided to just be fully authentic, and he was working in that company, and he had threat from his own boss of, basic, well, if you don't really respect that, it's not like, basically you can lose your job. Said differently, but he decided to stand for what was good for the company's client and what was good for the success of the company. And he was fearless. And here's what happens when we're fearless: nothing can happen. Like he was the how can I say, the force of nature. The boss couldn't do anything, because if you're in front of someone that is not afraid, then what else can you do? Even if you just say you can lose your job, you're like, I'm not afraid, I'm doing what is the best for the company or the clients. So now there's no pressure because you're fearless. And if at the end you lose your job, that means you're going to go into an environment that's going to love you for who you are. And I eventually, he was let go. And unfortunately, the company is not really doing well right now because they decided to be in that environment of not being authentic. And I've seen my friend also suffer at a certain point until he decided to be fearless, because it was stressed out. And then he told me about a lot of people that were stressed out inside the company that had sleepless moments. They had a hard time to sleep. They were stressed and everything. For what? For what? So and then here's another story that I'm going to tell about, sometimes we're afraid about judgment. And I had this moment while I was in Jordan this year. Unexpectedly, I had a mushroom dose that was way bigger than I thought. And I happened to have almost like some sort of a plant ceremony. And during that day, we had it was an event like I went for Mind Valley. And at the end of the event, they wrapped it up with what they call the humans and the angels. And so the game is that half the audience is closing their eyes, and they are the humans. And then you have the angels, and the angels are whispering beautiful things to your ear. And it's a very powerful exercise, because many people were crying, because, you have people that are seeing you for who you are. And I had beautiful things that were said to me through my ears, and it was great. And then there was one guy that said, be more confident. And at first I thought, what? Is that supposed to be a nice thing to say? Why are you saying that? Why? And then, because, of what I do in coaching and mindset, I said, I'm not going to put that, I'm triggered. That's interesting. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to focus on the nice things. And it was fine. So then at that day, at the end, there was a party, and that's where I took this mushroom thing. And then all of a sudden this showed up. Now I'm going through the shadows. I'm really, and what happened is that I was really asking myself about judgment. And I knew that if I'm triggered, there's a gift. So why am I triggered? Do I really believe that I'm good enough? Do I believe that I'm confident? Because if I'm confident and I believe that I am, and if somebody says that I'm not, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, whatever they would say. And so then I thought, okay, so then I believe I'm confident, that's fine. And then I really thought, what about my fear of being judged or embarrassed? Because I felt the fear of being embarrassed because of this thing that happened, and it was way bigger than I thought. And then I realized that all of the time that I'm afraid, is because I'm trying to guess. I'm trying to guess what the people are thinking of me. I'm trying to guess it. And am I going to have the exact same picture and image of what they have? No, because I'm guessing. I'm not in their mind, while they're also guessing or observing and having a whole different perspective. So we have two sides of the coin, inventing stories that are not real. So why would I even worry about something that, and at the end, they don't even think about me, because they're thinking about themselves like I'm thinking about myself when I look at other people. So they're not thinking about me. They're inventing stories like I do. They're trying to guess and I'm trying to guess. So where are we? So then I realized this has no value whatsoever to be even thinking about what people think, because it's a whole invented thing. It's a story that I'm inventing. It's a story that they're inventing. And if they're triggered, that's their own story. That's their own past life, childhood, all that has nothing to do with me. So I realized at that point, in the synchronicity that happened, which was actually hilarious, is that I was kind of out of the party for 2 hours, and then I heard the founder of Mind Valley talking. All of a sudden the music stopped and he started to talk, and he said, okay, so we're going to we're going to do a little game, and we're going to have we need some judges number 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And I'm going through judgment in my mind. I'm thinking, oh, this is hilarious. Like, we have
You're
7
saying, thank
judges.
you, Vision. You're bringing it all true for me.
Yeah, and I hear that, like, it's far, but I can hear, like, judge number 1 and number 2 as I'm going through my journey of thinking about judgment. So the point of all that is that, yeah, be you.
Yeah.
Don't care about what people think, because if you do, and I'm going to quote Wayne Dyers on that, and that could be the end of talking about judgment. He said, when you start to put importance of what people think of you, you're essentially saying that what you think of yourself is less important.
Absolutely.
What they
right.
think about you is more important.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of ridiculous to think that we would put less importance about what we think about ourselves instead of what the people think about us.
Yeah.
So, at that point on, I decided, and I'm not saying it's an easy game to play, but I know that it's my life. It's my game. I choose to live unaltered from whatever the people think. And I also realize that fear is beautiful, and that you can embrace it. And that on the other side of it, there's freedom, because we are meant to be limitless. We're meant to be happy, to be abundant. And we're the only one. I have a quote that I got yesterday, and I put it on my book. It said, the only thing that can limit you is believing that you're limited. Become limitless.
It's
There you
so
go.
true. And I think we get so hung up, as you were talking about this judgment thing, we get so hung up on what other people think when we don't know what they're thinking. We're imagining, as you were saying, what they are thinking. We don't know. And an important life lesson is we are not in control of other people's thoughts. We are in control of our own thoughts and our own words, not their thoughts and their words. So when you give up this notion of being able to control the world outside of you, you get to be you. You get to say, I'm good with being who I am. I recognize that it's not my job to control you. It's not my job to worry about what you think. It's my job to be the best me.
Mm-hmm. And it's so freeing.
Yeah.
I mean,
So how did
imagine.
this change things for you when you had that breakthrough and decided, you know what, I'm going to be me? How did it change things?
It was definitely a process. I mean, I was aware of it consciously, and there's a moment where you know it, and I think that's where the real transformation comes in, because and that's why repetition is very important. Like what I do in my program, it's all based on repetition. You elevate your consciousness level, and then there's a point where you feel the experience, and then oh, now I get it. And more, even with what I'm doing right now, I have a surrender experiment, which is actually a very good book from Michael Singer, letting life flow. Because I'm at a point in my life right now that if I try to force the matter, it's not working. And it was working in the past to do it, but I believe that our higher self, or I believe that we are God. I believe that we have the same power of creation, and that we have the ocean in a drop, and the drop in the ocean. We're one. And I believe that we also kind of chose a scenario at one point or the other, in order for us to expand and to go to a different level of consciousness, we had to co-create with the divine and still kind of put our intentions out there, and also trust life and surrender to whatever life is showing us. And so for me to be, I realized I gotta use all the potentials that I have for whatever mission was for me. And people might say, well, what's my mission? Well, the way to ask is, I think you ask, I think, and you pay attention to what makes your heart come alive. And
I
I've
love
I've
that.
inventoried lately, when I had success, what was happening? And then I realized, oh, when I was selling things when I was young, toilet paper or whatever it was. And why was I so excited? Because I was going to travel. Oh, travel is, I love that. Oh, and then I loved speaking. I was part of the Toastmaster, president of the Toastmaster Club. I had a lot of communication courses. Oh, that's another recurring theme. I love to speak. I love to travel. Then when I'm selling something and it's for a good cause, I could sell anything. So doing something that's outside of myself for the benefit and the greater good. Oh, I like that. So now I realize, okay, I'm going to focus on that. And that's what, and then you listen and you ask, so who do I need to be in order to achieve this? Use your voice, and that's in stillness. And I think it's the work that I do right now is really to pay attention to the leads, to your intuition, and you do that in stillness. And you do that maybe by going in nature and taking the time to really step outside of life. And when I did Vipassana, 10-day silent meditation, you're outside of life and you're really doing the inner work. And not to be afraid to go through what might seem very scary. And you have so many beautiful answers in that. And so, pay attention. I would say pay attention to what you're really good at, what makes your heart come alive, and then also co-create and ask. So if I know that I love to travel, and if I know that I like to speak, and if I know that I like to contribute, what does the universe have for me? Give me an answer, give me a lead. And then you'll see that there are authors such as Neville Goddard that would talk about the power of awareness, or Florence Shin, or Thomas Troward, and they all talk about this divine expression that exists that would feed you the information that you need to do. And the key is to trust that when we have this information, because it might be illogical. And usually the illogical is what is needed in order to change what's the same. You don't change anything until you do something different. And many times, if I ask people, like, when you've done something amazing in your life, were you scared before? Did it make sense? And most of the time I would say it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to go travel the world for 3 months, or to step into outside a comfort zone, or there was fear that was involved, and there was something illogical, and you follow your gut feeling, you follow your heart. And I think that's where all the information is.
I love that so much. And what you're talking about, if I, from my perspective, distill it into my words, is go slow to go fast. So it's allowing yourself that time, and the time is different for everybody, but giving yourself that time to check in with what it is that you truly want in life, what you want to be doing, how you want to live your life, because we get so caught up in the hamster wheel that we're on, and without taking stock of that and making some conscious choices.
And you say that, and absolutely. And the resilience element was born out of an experiment of doing nothing for 3 days. And it was something powerful that was asked by my coach at the time. And I did the exercise, and that created the company. And it's because I took the time to slow down in order to go faster. And if you really want to go into more scientific terms, I'm following a course right now called Zero to Dangerous. And we're talking about flow triggers and everything that happens in the brain, and all the studies that you can go through. And one of the things that they mention is how super athletes And high performance people, they take the time to recoup more than any other average performers. And when we talk about sleep, when we have a lot of things to do and we're stressed, we feel that we're going to compromise on our sleep, which is actually where you should sleep more. And it's counterintuitive because you can say, I have so many things to do. But the reality is, your level of performance is diminishing so much that you're actually not even serving yourself. So, and I'm guilty of that. I mean, I sleep on average 6 hours, but I know that the stats are saying, but one thing I do though, is that at times when I'm in a crunch and I have to do things, and when I see that my level of productivity is really nothing, I will go to bed. I will go to bed, and I would rather wake up earlier, but at least right now I know I'm not productive. So I'm not going to fight it. I'm really going to say, you know what, that's my time to actually stop right now. And where I'm also going to do something similar is when I see that I'm panicking and that I'm concerned and I'm anxious, I'm going to go meditate. And I'm going to go meditate for 40 minutes or an hour. And you can say, well, are you crazy? You have things to do. Yeah, but I'm going nowhere with it. And I have a little story that's funny is that last year, I think, or a year and a half ago, somebody wanted to have something really fast. And I almost had no time to do it. And at the end, I had an hour. But I was anxious because I needed to do it. Then they wanted to have some sort of a summary on a bio mixed with the program that I would do for them. But, it was something that they were imposing on me. There was a lot of stress. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to change that. But they wanted to have something fast. I had an hour only. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go meditate 20 minutes. Because right now I cannot produce anything in that hour. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling the anxiety. I'm panicky. So I'm going to go meditate. I went to meditate for 20 minutes, came back to my computer. And then the person that wanted to have something fast, she said, you know what? I decided to just do a quick summary of what I think would be good. Then let me know what you think. And I read it. And I said, perfect. So I had 5 minutes to spend on it. It was done perfectly. And I believe it's because I decided to just go meditate and relax and be in a better zone. And then everything just happened to be flowy and easy. And that's just because I decided to slow down in order to continue to go faster.
I love that. And when we're in that heightened negative energy state of any situation, stress, anxiety, any of the negative energies, when we're existing in that, how can we see the good stuff? How can we be the us that we really are when we're feeling that kind of energy? So I love that. Stepping away, whether it's meditating for the 20 minutes, going for a walk, having a nap, whatever it is that you need, change the energy of that situation, and you come back refreshed, you come back supercharged, strong, and more confident and fearless to be able to say, actually, you know what, I was feeling railroaded about that, but this is what is the right thing to do. So you're no longer on that energy of being railroaded. You are now in a different kind of calm state where you're saying, right, let's roll up our sleeves and make the magic happen.
Yeah, and I take up a book right now. It's called Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. And that's just about that. And apparently Winston Churchill was taking walks every day, and that's how he got his best insights. And so these people were taking the time to slow down. And that's what I think was their superpower. You think about Ray Dalio, I heard one of the biggest investor in this world. I think he meditates 2 to 3 times a day for 30 minutes. This guy's busy. And he's making billions of dollars, and he takes the time to slow down. While I'm sure many people would say, "We need your help now," and he's no, I'm taking the time for myself because it's kind of recalibrating. It's a reset. The best analogy that I have for me when I meditate, and which could happen maybe when you play an instrument or you go in nature, is that if I look at the movie The Matrix, there's one of the scene where the bullets are all coming. I feel that when you're meditating, you can see the bullet in a slow motion. You can dodge it because you're not panicking. You're just taking a better decision as opposed to, and then it hits you.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel when everything kind of slows down. I'm able to look at it objectively from different angles, and then I make a better decision. I'm not in flight mode. My amygdala is not triggered. Now I'm able to relax. And I think it's a superpower to feel relaxed and take the moment of stillness to get the answers, to get the ideas and the insights.
That's so powerful. And I know a lot of people will say, I don't have time to do it. You don't have time to not do it. You don't have the time to
Bingo.
waste on it, on the negative energy, on the heightened stress, on the anxiety. You don't have time to lose to all of that. So you
Yeah,
don't
and
feel much
it's
of
a
it.
yeah. I remember my journey. I started with meditating for. Here's how ridiculous it is, and it's funny when I think about it now. I thought 10 minutes is too short, 15 minutes is too long, 5 minute difference. So I decided to put my timer at 13. What a great what a great idea. And now I do 45 minutes, sometimes an hour at a time. So the reason why I say that is that you don't need to start with 45 minutes. You can even just start with 1 minute and doing an intentional breath. If you feel stressed, you can just do the box breathing for 4 seconds to inhale, hold it for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 4 seconds and hold it for another four. Do that 5 times. You automatically, your brain is going to feel so much better. You're going to be able to make better decisions. That's 1 minute. 1 minute. And I think the reason why I say that is because now you're going to realize, you know what? I mean, it's really beneficial. It's really beneficial. I think I'm going to increase that time. And then you realize, like you said, it's costly not to do it. So taking an hour to do things way faster is worth it. And I know it because I've experienced it. So for the people that haven't experienced it, I can totally understand why it seems crazy. You just have to start slow, little in increments, and then you're going to start to realize, oh my, wow, it's so much better. I'm not reacting anymore. I'm responding, and people see it. And now I can see the benefits. So I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to actually increase it and see where that goes. And that's what happened to me.
That's perfect. And that box breathing technique, some people will call it square breathing. It's so powerful. I use it often in group sessions when I'm doing maybe a week-long group event, and people will join it back day after day just for the breathing bit, because it calms them down and they suddenly feel like they're themselves again. They're not in that rat race. They're not in the heightened energy. They are calm, in control of themselves. They're strong, resilient, happier. And it's such a simple thing to do. I love that. So, Francis, so many things going on for you. Tell us what's next. What is it that you're working on currently? What are the big things coming up for you?
Thank you for asking. I think for me is using my voice. It's a strong message I got at plant medicine, and what I realized that I love speaking. That's my way of connecting with the audience, engaging with them. And so when I did it in Estonia with Mind Valley, I felt so alive to talk about the mindset alchemy. And that's my modality. I think it's the modality that I think it leads to coaching, leads to workshops with corporations or business owners and entrepreneurs. That's what the people will see more. So working on a beautiful reel right now at the moment to expand that. And I've realized, I've done a lot of speaking, and now it's what I want to do more and more and more, because that really makes my heart come alive, and it allows me to travel as well. So that's one thing, because I love coaching. So the speaking is the opening door for the coaching, the group coaching, and helping organizations to really thrive and question their beliefs, because it's possible to double the business, triple, quadruple in a year. It seems crazy, but it's just because you have to believe it. And then once, like, I'll give you a quick example, is we had that as in our course lately, a woman that would think that it's possible to double their business, another one that think that 10x is possible, and another one 100x. They all achieve what they thought was possible because of their belief. And so thinking about 10x a business, the strategies are not the same as if you're thinking about doubling. If you're thinking about doubling, you might actually just start to say, I'm going to work harder, but how about you can work smarter? There's moves that you can do, and the ideas and insights that are going to come to 10x your business are not the same as the one for 2x. Same thing as 100x. 100x, you can't do it all alone. You got to build a team. You might have to build some partnerships with some people. scale it, automate things so that things are getting easier. It's a whole different game. And it's possible for people to think in terms of these possibilities. That's what I love. The other project that I have that I was actually discussing just even before this podcast is that 4 years ago, I was thinking about a documentary on resilience. And I had this trailer being done. And then I felt at times that I felt guilty and shameful that I didn't accomplish this thing. But I realized also that I needed to learn the lesson that I've learned so that this documentary is a lot bigger and a lot more powerful. So I spoke to a filmmaker just before this call because I've seen what he's doing and we're aligned in all areas of our life. We speak the same language and I realized this is way better than I thought. And so that's something that I speak out into existence. We're looking for some funding because the point of this documentary is to let people know that they are unlimited, that we're all from the same source. And so you will hear it from different cultures, different religions, and realize, oh, we're all have a lost story somewhere, and we all have the same capacity, we all have the same potential. And so we just have to remember who we really are. And resilience is freedom, because it means that no matter what pressure you have in your environment, you're not going to let that alter your state of happiness, of divinity, of unlimited potential. So the movie is going to be about that. And I feel it's really, really important for the people to understand that. And I'm doing that as my legacy. There's no money. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I had the message that this is my gift to the universe. So that's what I'm speaking into existence until an investor says, you know what, let's do it. I believe it's really important. It's for the sake of our generations, for the sake of our kids, for the sake of survival, really. And then the third project is a startup called Mind Collective, because it's an idea that I got and I firmly believe in it, to use the collective intelligence of everyone in order to solve any challenging problems. And so I believe we're going to disrupt LinkedIn, Zoom, all of it. And that's something that's coming up, and it's called Mind Collective.
Mind Collective. My God, Francis, this is amazing, juicy stuff. We love this. And so how do people get in touch with you if they want to know more about this?
The website is francispiché.com, and they can also go on social media, find me either on Facebook or Instagram with Piché Francis, and we start a conversation. Like we said before, I know I'm a match for some people and definitely not for others. I'm the type of person that I mean, I have 10 years of experience of really going through the trenches, and I can shorten that. And for me, if I know that I can do it in 2 steps instead of 10, and we're going to go through the core, and I'm going to ask people if they allow me to be a high flame, I'm going to use all of my heart, all of my power, all of my energy to really question that, transmute that. And what I love is when people are coachable and thinking in terms of unlimited possibilities, man, I'm in. Like, let's go. It's like what I called, or what Steve Arterson would say, the no limit thinking. How can we apply the no limit thinking into this situation? That excites me. So
That's amazing.
yeah, they can reach me on my website or Instagram, and then first thing is a conversation.
Fantastic. And your details will also be in your bio with this podcast as well. So people need to be in touch with you. And just before we say farewell for now, if you were to briefly go back in time to the younger man that you were in that difficult situation, changed jobs, relationship gone by the wayside, feeling all of that fear and pressure, where you are now today, and if you could go back and sit beside that younger man and give him some advice, what would you tell him?
Probably 3 things. One, I would say, have faith. Have faith, definitely. And the other one is, you're loved. Everything that happens right now is for you. It's not against you. So basically saying, universe has been benevolent, God has been benevolent, have faith, and love yourself. I love you, and you're beautiful and amazing. You're unlimited. So and maybe if there's a fourth one, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself about what you thought was a mistake. It's not. You're perfect as who you are. And forgive yourself for judging yourself. Forgive yourself for judging yourself. Love yourself. Believe that universe is benevolent, and have faith.
I love that. I think it's so important to be able to look back and give yourself that advice and then remember that advice for the next times that are difficult and remind yourself, you know what? I'm doing great,
Mhm.
even in those difficult moments. So forgive yourself, love yourself, recognize that the universe is benevolent. And what else was it?
Have faith, and I could
Have
say,
faith.
I believe in you. So you're my higher self believe in me, and that's just kind of the self love thing, right? I believe in you, and you're enough.
You
So
are
that's the
enough.
self love. We are all enough. We
Mm.
are the only one thinking that we're not, and no amount of. And there's a day I think we all have a surrender experiment type of journey, and it could be through difficulties on our health, relationships, or at work. But there's a moment when we realize, you know what, I have to surrender to what's happening right now because I believe that this is for my good. And I will surrender and I will listen and I'm not going to fight it. And there's that moment when you stop to fight is so good because it's not draining anymore. And you believe it's there. And then you wait for the beautiful moment. You declare what you want and then you wait in stillness. What's the next move? And you go for it.
And when you're still like that, you're able to hear. You get that flow of information that makes sense, and you're going slow to go fast.
Yeah,
Love it.
absolutely. Thank
Francis,
you,
thank you
Tracy.
so much for being with us today. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I'm sure many people are going to get an awful lot out of that. And thank you again for sharing your journey, for sharing how you tap into your own limitless potential, and so many amazing things coming for you.
Thank you, Tracy. And much love to all of the audience. You are unlimited, limitless.
You are limitless. You are enough. Love it. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining in for another amazing episode of Limitless Potential. And we will see you back again another day with another journey and another story of limitless potential. See you soon.